Another draft constitution rejected by a Gambian lawmakers meeting in the National Assembly on Monday. Alagie Barrow isn't shedding tears for the tossed-out bill. He was always against the 2024 draft constitution, and he now shares some of his reasons.
I read some of the arguments raised by proponents of the Barrow Authoritarian Treaty, which some people call the Barrow Draft. And to say I am saddened by the simple-mindedness of some of our people will be an understatement. Supporters tell us that we should accept the Barrow Draft because it is better than the Jammeh Constitution. That is a logical fallacy some people call relative privation. Some call it the not as bad as fallacy. Telling us the Barrow Draft should be accepted because it is not as bad as Jammeh's makes it seem like we cannot get better. What that argument does is compare the Barrow Authoritarian Treaty with the Jammeh tyranny-enabling document. But the argument should never be between Jammeh and Barrow's documents. The focus should be on the latter, which is the 2024 draft constitution that Barrow and his APRC NPP wanted to shove down our throats. You should never accept a terrible constitution simply because it is marginally better than a previous terrible constitution when you have a draft that is better than both. But at the end of the day, this is not about what the people want. It is about the desires of the APRC NPP for power and control. Others said that rejecting the Barrow draft means we will be stuck with the Jammeh tyranny constitution. That is what they call the binary fallacy. They make it seem like the only two choices are Barrow and Jammeh's constitutions. But that is not true. There is the 2020 draft, and the choice is actually between the 2020 draft and the Barrow Authoritarian Treaty. The choice does not have to be between the Barrow draft and Jammeh's dictatorial documents. They only use that fallacy to scare the people. Then you hear some say, but the 2020 draft is dead and buried. It cannot be revived. You would think that whatever stops them from reviving the 2020 draft is an order from Allah. They forget that the process of building, writing, or amending laws to usher in a new constitution does not require a communion with God to decide what to do. Everything about a constitution is man-made. And whatever man makes, man can change, dismantle, or adjust if the will is there. There is no man-made law that cannot be adjusted. Making it seem like the 2020 draft is impossible to revive in any way is a manifestation of one's limited desire and unwillingness to revive it. Where there is a will, there certainly will be a way. A lack of will to do something does not mean it is impossible to do. And then I heard others alluding to national interest and citing it as a reason to allow the Barrow draft to be adopted. I often roll my eyes when I hear people pontificate about national interest, because most times it simply is a euphemism for self-interest. The person who alluded to national interest is in the APRC NPP camp. But I guess this person forgot that it was President Adama Barrow himself who bribed National Assembly members to torpedo the 2020 draft. I guess he too would say he did that for national interest. National interest is meaningless. It's just a phrase people throw around there to sound nationalistic. But ask them to specify what the national interest is, and they cannot tell you. But anchoring oneself on national interest ideals appeals to many of us. You jump from one party to another, it is for the national interest. You abandon all your principles and stand for nothing, you claim it is for national interest. The reality is, we are in this mess because some people want to continue eating at the table and ensure they control the rest of us. If national interest, whatever it means, is what truly mattered, we would not be here debating which constitution is worse than the other between the Barrow and Jammeh papers. If national interest truly mattered, we would not have people claiming to be serving the people when they somehow find ways to live a far better life than the people they are supposedly serving. When Barrow told us he bribed National Assembly members to ambush the 2020 draft constitution, those parroting national interest today were not interested in national interest then. But today, it is convenient to claim national interest. At the end of the day, they wanted to be seen doing things so they could say, we tried. We tried to have a new constitution. They stopped us. That way, they can point fingers at others and completely ignore the fact that whatever they accuse others of today, they did first.
And the mess Alagie Barrow refers to in his commentary is the rejection last night by the National Assembly of a new constitution tabled by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dawda Jallow.